Welcome to episode 40 of the We Are Auto Show. How you doing, Mr. Derek Schmidt, in our fancy new recording studio here?
We do have a new setup. You have a nice new microphone. We are in person. I am doing fantastic, my friend. How are you doing?
Honestly, I'm doing great. This is a pretty sweet setup. Feel almost official, like real podcasters, real journalists, if you will.
We're making moves. We're making big moves.
We are. Speaking of big moves, I actually saw something really funny this week. So while I was out and about, this is not any of my car spots. It's just something that I laughed at because it was hilarious. Do you remember back in the days of like Fast and Furious, where you'd see like the tuner cars where they put the like the sponsors, the fake sponsors on kind of the door right behind the front tire?
I do.
You would see like Gretty, AM, all the different like popular sponsors. Mm-hmm. Well, I saw someone make a mockery of that, and it was just it was just a joke, but it was so funny. There was this Subaru Outback. It was brown. So of all the colors, it was brown.
Okay.
And it had fake sponsors. They were so funny. They weren't actual sponsors. They weren't like actual brands and companies.
Really?
Yeah, it was, and I think I even took a picture and sent it to you, but it just had random stuff like eggs, milk, bread, ham, like just random stuff. It was just the funniest thing ever. I walked by it and I was like, oh, that is just hilarious. So there's just, as soon as I walked by, I was like, all right, that's the funniest thing I've seen all week.
I did see that picture. If you can post it on social media, for some reason I can't get it to pull up. And it is awesome to see the meme of them doing the sponsors that the Fast and Furious does.
Exactly. A meme in real life.
Yes. A real life meme indeed.
I'll make sure I get that put up for everyone to laugh at, as I did. But shall we get into some news here?
We shall.
All right. So, got some news. I know last week we started out with BMW. This week we're going to do the same damn thing again. So I apologize, everyone, right now that I am giving you another horrendous article from BMW. So BMW has announced a new concept called the XM. Sounds almost like satellite radio.
Yeah, wait, what? What is the XM?
So the XM is stupid, is what it is, frankly. It is an SUV.
Okay. They make a lot of SUVs.
They do make a lot of SUV, and the weird thing is this is the first BMW M that's a standalone M, not like an M3 or something like that. It's a standalone M, and it's the first standalone M that BMW is going to be making since the M1 back in like the 70s.
Whoa.
And they're going very non-sports car with it. They're doing this big SUV that is maybe the next ugliest thing BMW has created.
The M is their performance brand. Why would they go make, if you're listening on YouTube, this monstrosity of a thing?
This is exactly just a monstrosity. It is the ugliest thing in the world. BMW, I've ragged on you before, and I'm ragging on you again. And I'm sorry, everyone, for listening and watching to have to put you through this misery.
What?
So, for those of you watching, you'll see on the screen some nostrils.
They're the biggest BMW nostrils they've ever made. They have to be.
The kidney grills are no longer kidney grills. They're full body size grills.
Are they actually making this car?
According to sources, yes, this is what's coming. It's
What?
awful. So there's actually a scene in The Office where Michael Scott was dating Pam Halpert's mom. And the analogy I'm going to draw here, and I'm taking this a little bit from a meme and creating a real life meme here, is when Michael Scott was dating Pam's mom, Pam told Michael and said, "Don't date her." And Michael said, "I'm going to date her harder now." So I feel like what happened with BMW here is the designers were creating big grills, and the consumers and everyone were like, "Don't make big grills." And the designer went, "Well, now I'm going to make them bigger."
Yes.
And then all of a sudden the new BMW is literally just going to be, it's just going to evolve to a giant grill at this point. I mean, the BMW is just becoming a grill.
There are people out there who will like the look of this BMW.
Yes, and they're blind, and they're not allowed to legally drive, Derek.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. But do they have any numbers? Is there anything else that's redeeming about this car at all? Because
Yeah.
it looks very edgy and wild. And if you're like somewhere in Oregon and you're a hipster, maybe this will work for you. But normal people, no.
Somewhere in Oregon and you're a hipster. Oh, I love you, Derek. That's great. So let me give you some numbers. It's supposed to kind of compete with like the Lamborghini Urus, the Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT, that kind of stuff. So it is going to be a plug-in hybrid V8.
Okay, so my Oregon worked.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, great.
So you'll have a plug-in hybriding a twin-turbo V8. The V8, it's this whole power plant is supposed to be 750 horsepower-ish with 737 pound-feet of torque. So makes a lot of power, but no, this is just awful.
Yeah. This is an odd SUV that they've made here.
It's stupid. I'm just going to say it's just dumb.
I guess I kind of see the Urus in it. It's very edgy. It's very... oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I can see you looking through and just going, oh, God, what are they doing? What have they done?
It's rough.
It is rough. Now, there is one redeeming feature that I like about the new BMW XM satellite radio.
What is that?
That they are bringing jobs back to America with it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to try to look past the snout and the nostrils to the fact that it's going to be supposedly built in Spartanburg, South Carolina. For those of us that are not listening in the States, that is a state of the United States. So it's on the East Coast.
But why couldn't they actually just build it in America and make it not for hippies?
That's a good question. I wish they would have made this not what they're making it, because it is butt ugly.
Yeah,
it is fugly, frankly. It is awful.
It is very, very ugly.
It is BMW. I literally rag on them, it seems like every episode, but that's because literally every single week there is a new article coming out where BMW has designed something tragic and horrible and awful and horrendous. Every week there's a new article about it. When is it gonna stop? Please make it end, please, dear God.
I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
It's bad,
but yeah. What a weird car.
It's bad, but can I now give you some good?
Sure.
Okay, so I got some good. So, some good coming out of Aston Martin.
Okay.
Now, Aston Martin has announced that they're bringing back the V12 in the Vantage. So, they currently have the V12 in the DB11 and the DBS Superleggera, but they're putting the V12 back in the Vantage.
Great.
So, I agree. I think that's fantastic. They actually, at one point, they had the V12 Vantage in the prior gen, which was my spot of the week last week, if you'll remember that. And that was great. That was a 3-pedaled V12 Vantage. That was fantastic. But the reason I'm so stoked about this is because it is a V12 in a smaller car versus the DBS or the DB11, which are much longer and bigger and more of a GT car. This is much more of a proper sports car with a V12. It's rumored to have the same 5.2-liter twin-turbo V12 that they already have in like the DBS and stuff. That it's supposed to make hopefully close to 690-ish horsepower.
Okay, heck yeah.
Can I get a huge heck yeah? Hell yeah, brother, because that sounds freaking sick. There's not a ton of info on it yet, but so far, what are your thoughts?
690 horsepower in a car that's going to weigh 2,500 pounds, and it's an Aston Martin, and it's going to hum and sound fantastic. Great. The only worry that I have is it's an Aston Martin, and it's going to be one of their top-of-the-line models, and it's probably going to be pricey.
It ain't going to be cheap.
Nope.
They have not released any numbers on it yet in terms of price, but we can expect this to be well over $200,000 if you're getting a current Vantage, $180, something like that.
Okay.
You're going to be well over $200,000.
So we're not talking anywhere near that. What was the Aston that came out recently that was
the
like
Victor?
Crazy.
It was like the one of one that was like the ultimate dream car, the carbon, but that was like what, $7 million or something like that.
Yeah, it's dumb money.
Yeah, it's not going to be the Victor. It's not going to be dumb money like that. But here is a little bit more talkings about this new V12 Vantage. So, good news is that it's going to be V12 Vantage.
Right.
Bad news now.
What?
Not available in a manual.
Was the is the current one available in a manual?
The current V8 Vantage is available in a manual.
V12?
They don't make V12 Vantage right now. They don't make any V12 manual other than that one-of-one Victor that we had talked about.
Yeah, but that's just an oddity.
Yeah, they're the only manual transmission car that Aston makes right now is a V8 Vantage. They did make a V12 Vantage in the prior gen. Aston has actually been reported as saying that the current V8 Vantage is the last manual transmission car that they will be making. Shed a tear. Shed a tear.
I'm not surprised. I'm actually surprised that this is going to have a V12 in it, and it's probably the swan song for that car.
Yeah, and that actually brings me to another point, is this is not just a special edition. It is a final edition.
Oh, no. It's the final Vantage? Really?
Final V12 Vantage, that's for darn sure. I'm hoping it's not the final V12, and I'm hoping it's not the final Vantage, or I'm hoping it's not the final ICE vehicle.
Yeah. It could be. It
That
very well
scares
could be.
me. That really scares me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for it, but I'm a little bit dreading it all at the same time.
Yeah, what? Lotus just did this with their Evora, was it?
The Emira.
That's what it was.
Yep, the Emira was Lotus's kind of swan song to the ICEs, essentially.
We're about to have like an onslaught of these in the next couple years.
Yeah, I fear that's actually truly coming,
Yeah.
is that there's going to be so many of these new kind of swan songs of just perfection.
Right.
We may be in the golden era. So everyone always talks about, I wish I knew when we were in the good old days while we were in the good old days.
Yes.
I think we should be cherishing this because this may be the good old days that we'll all be reminiscing on of the good old days of the future.
If you have $200,000 to put down on a car right now, it would not be a bad idea to pick up that.
It would not be a bad idea to pick up any NA sports car at this point, I think. A naturally aspirated sports car, I think may not be a bad idea, or just ICE vehicle in general. Now, one more quick thing on this Vantage, this V12 Vantage. Aston did post something on through their social channels of the sound of it. Oh, it's just intoxicating. It's so good. Oh my God. The sound of this new V12 Vantage is just to die for. It's really, really, really good. It's really good.
Can you share that on our socials so that people can hear it?
I 100% will. Absolutely.
Yes.
Make sure you keep an eye on social because you'll hear this V12 Vantage, and it is...
Everyone loves the V12 Vantage.
It's going to be a screamer, and I'm excited.
Yep. That is awesome.
Definitely. So, you got anything for us?
There is some racing news to chat about.
Okay.
I believe that this upcoming weekend is the Bathurst 1000. And do you know what that race is? Have you heard of that race before?
I've heard of it. I don't know much other than the fact that it's in Mount Panorama.
It is.
Down in Oz. It's one thing I do know about Bathurst, especially the 12-hour race, but I don't know about the 1000.
Right.
Is that Bathurst, Mount Panorama as a circuit,
Yes.
was limiting the amount of alcohol that fans could bring in and buy there. So what fans were doing was they would go to Mount Panorama, the circuit, like 3 or 4 weeks before the race, and they would dig. They would dig and bury packs of beer and wine and vodka. So now, if you're an Australian and you feel limited by these restrictions on your alcohol intake at Mount Panorama, I think you just got to go bury some like everyone else is doing.
That is the most Aussie thing I've ever heard, and it's also amazing at the same time.
Hell yeah. That's why we love you Australians.
Yeah, so Mount Panorama, the circuit itself, I believe that you have run it on like a racing game that I have. It's a very difficult track. It's very high speed. You go up and down a mountain. There are a couple straightaways, some long straightaways, some hard braking points. There's a lot of you're hanging onto the car up across the top of the mountain or going up or down the mountain. Technical track, very hard. When you take a bunch of Australian V8 NASCARs and you put them on there, and there's something like 40 to 50 of them, it's amazing. It's awesome.
It's just mass pandemonium.
Yes. And the drivers of those cars know those cars so well that they can just hold a slide across the top of the mountain like nobody's business, and they don't have an inkling of like lifting or anything.
Yeah.
They are wild.
It's everything about Mount Panorama, the circuit in general, is just incredible.
Yes.
And then when you throw in these Australian V8 supercars, let's go. Let's go. I mean, you can't not love these things.
Right. And for those who don't know, it's like Australia's NASCAR, but built for road racing. And they are amazing to watch. And they are super, super close racing as well.
Yeah.
So that's happening over the weekend. For those who are in the U.S., which are probably the majority of our listeners, you will probably not be able to watch it in on a big channel. You'll have to go to the place that I've been going to is Reddit. And if you go on r/motorsport streams, they actually already have a post up for this weekend. And they will put the links in there as to people who are like illegally streaming it or restreaming their screen so that you can watch the race. And it is an amazing race. Highly suggest you watch it. The other race that you had talked about that happens there, the 12 hours, is super interesting because they start it in the morning before the sun comes up and it goes into sunrise. Whereas most 12-hour races start in the afternoon and go into sunset. Mm-hmm. And that place is just wild.
Yeah.
But super, super cool.
Agreed. Super cool. Hope everyone gets to watch a little bit about this, the Bathurst 1000 this weekend.
Reddit/motorsport streams if you want to watch it.
Yes, that's where you can find it. I won't be able to find it because I don't really work a computer very well. I don't get along with computers.
No problem. I'll send you the link.
I appreciate that, Derek. But let's talk about Formula Boring for a second, shall we?
Do we have to?
We should. Do we have to? No, but we should. We should.
Okay, right? Fine.
So there is a Formula Boring race coming. Formula One. Pardon me. Mm-hmm. There is a Formula One race coming up this weekend. It is at Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And
is that the track that's being built right now? I don't believe
so.
Maybe. The last race of the season, I believe, is the one that's currently under construction.
Maybe it may be this one because Abu Dhabi's been there for a while, and I think Abu Dhabi's the last one. It may be the one that's under construction.
It may be.
This may be the one that F1 is building. So they may be racing on a half-built track. Good luck, F1. Maybe that will add excitement to Formula Boring.
I mean, a half-built track would be wild. If there were, like, unfinished pavement sections.
Hell yeah. Let's see Lewis Hamilton bitch and complain about that, shall we?
There's absolutely no way the FIA does that for safety reasons, but... regardless, it's going to be an interesting race because we have a 6-point gap between the two going into the race, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about those driver standings for just a quick second because I believe this is the second to last race of the season. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So with this being the second to last race of the season, we've got a tight kind of standings for the 1-2 in the drivers. We've got Max Verstappen with 351.5 points in first place, followed by Lewis Hamilton with 343.5 points. So for the Drivers' Championship, this could be a little bit exciting, which means I'm hoping that they do some Dick Dastardly things where they actually try to punt each other off to make it more exciting. Because if they don't, then we know it's literally just going to be they're going to get stuck where they can't pass, they can't do anything, and it's just going to be 1-2 all around forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah. And even if they go 1-2, I think that they're basically tied if Lewis beats Max. Because I think you get a 8-point advantage between first or second or something like that.
I think, yeah. So we're pretty damn close one way or the other.
Right. It'll be interesting to watch. Hopefully somebody does get punted off. If I were in their shoes, I'd be thinking about punting someone off, but I'm not. That's probably a good thing that I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a good thing that we are not a Formula One driver. Now, one quick thing that I do also want to point out is, so we talked Max Verstappen's 351.5 points and Lewis Hamilton's 343.5 points. Mm-hmm. Do you know where third place is? You know how many points third place has?
Third place has to be, well, it's either the other Red Bull or the other Mercedes.
It is.
Which one?
The other Mercedes.
Okay, so it's Bottas.
Yes.
Bottas, however you say his last name.
Yeah, Bottas.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, how far down is he?
He's third place. So that's my question to you is, what do you think that gap is between second to third? Do you think it's like 20 points? Do you think it's like 400 points? Do you think it's 5 points? If you had to guess, what would you say the gap between second and third is?
Well, I do know, since I've been watching the season, that there's been a big gap between the top two, so between Hamilton and Verstappen, and the rest of the field. And I know that Bottas has had a whole bunch of shenanigans happen to him this season, so he hasn't had good finishes particularly throughout the whole season. He's had a couple, but I think he's even won a couple races. But I would assume that the gap is actually decently big, but there is a 6-point gap up front. I'm going to guess that it's like a 50-point difference.
A hell of a lot more than that.
Oh.
It's almost 150 points.
Oh, God.
So, first place, 351.5. Second place, 343.5. Third place, 203.
203? Holy,
203.
He's not. Oh, my God.
So, between second and third, you go from 343.5 points to 203 points. That's a 140-point difference.
Yeah, that's
what?
Bad.
That's not even freaking close. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's really bad.
So that's part of the reason why we rag and give so much shit to Formula One, is because if you're not Hamilton or Verstappen, you don't have a hope in hell. What's the point?
No.
It's almost as if Valtteri Bottas and everyone else in the field just goes, okay, what's the point in this?
Right.
There's absolutely no way possible that I could ever get anywhere near these two, even if they took themselves out for the rest of the season. They're still not anywhere near it.
Now, one interesting note, though. Do you know the constructor standings?
I don't off the top of my head.
Let me inform you.
It's going to be a Red Bull or a Mercedes.
You're correct in that. Do you know? Give me a guess as to the point gap in the constructor standings.
Guess to the point gap in the constructor standings. They've got to be relatively close. I would say 20 points.
It's 5.
Ooh, way closer.
Yeah, it's 5 points.
Ooh, so the constructor championship, that's really close now.
Yeah. It's 546 is Mercedes and 541 is Red Bull. So that does spice things up a little bit, because that means that the other two, the Bottas and who's the other Red Bull driver? I can't remember. Perez.
Yeah. Perez.
Those two have a meaningful impact on that championship result.
Mm-hmm. That is exactly what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 100%. So that could be, things could get a little exciting for F1 fans, which hopefully they do, because it's been very unexciting.
We shall see. We shall see.
We shall see. So I do have a couple of updates for some of our prior guests.
Okay.
So you remember a gentleman we had on, Grant Talkie? He raced the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America with a 991 Cup car. Mm-hmm. So some cool news from him. He actually just got a seat in a 992 Cup car in the Carrera Cup. So the Porsche Carrera, like the actual IMSA series.
Yeah, that's the one that partners around with IMSA right now.
Yeah, so he's getting a ride in IMSA. So well done, Grant. Look forward to seeing how that season and series shapes up for you.
Did that car just come out, or that series just start running that car this past year?
This past year, yep.
Okay.
Yep, so this newest 992 Cup, the only place you were really seeing that run was in the Carrera Cup, which was only ran kind of it's an IMSA series.
It is. It runs alongside IMSA, mainly at the same tracks that IMSA goes to.
It's actually sanctioned by IMSA as well.
Yeah. They might branch out to like a track or two that's not under their banner or something like that, but it's super close. I know they were at Sebring. I know they were at Petit Le Mans. I know that they were at Watkins Glen. Like, it's all the same stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, Carrera Cup follows IMSA pretty much everywhere. They're a team. They're all.
Do you happen to know if they'll be at Daytona?
I would say most likely.
Okay. I know that they were at Sebring last year.
Most likely.
That's where they started their season. So
most likely.
Cool.
But we'll see. Hopefully they will. Hopefully they won't. Don't know.
Glad to hear that he's running in that. That's super awesome.
Yeah, stoked to see that. Another quick update.
Okay.
So you remember when we had Gino Manley on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gino, he's got an update here where you know how he was telling us that he was hoping to hit 52 weekends in a row at a track? He hit it. Well done, Gino. Great job bringing the Vic and everything else, every other car. I saw him. He was taking a Volvo wagon around a car.
What a madman.
Hell yeah. Love that.
But also super, super cool that he goes to a diversity of tracks and runs every single weekend at whatever car he can throw at a racetrack.
Yeah, literally anything.
Anything.
And it's great. And I think he's actually running maybe this weekend at Thunder Hill in one of the AOA Racing Miatas. I think that could be a thing.
Dang, that'd be a lot of fun.
But yeah, so a couple of updates. Grant Talkie getting a ride in Carrera Cup, and Gino Manley officially hitting 52 weekends in a row at a racetrack.
Hell yeah. Good for them.
I agree.
Nice. So over this past weekend, we went down to my uncle's, and we got to drive some good old American muscle.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, we had a ball.
Mm-hmm. We got to drive the new Corvette C8,
We did.
which Kevin Sapinski, thank you very much for letting us drive that. He's actually been on the show. You can go back and you can listen to an interview with him. He talks about like some best practices about how to buy and sell cars with car dealerships and how to negotiate and all that kind of stuff. A wealth of information. But he let us drive his new C8 that he got. And
Bravely.
he did let us drive it.
Thank you again,
bravely. He did. But we really embraced the Corvette community, I would say.
I would say not only did we embrace the Corvette community, I think the Corvette community embraced us back, didn't it?
Yeah, they did. Would you like to explain what we've done here?
So we like to poke fun at Corvette owners and owners of other different brands and manufacturers. So as we've talked about, the Corvette owner, as most of you enthusiasts would know, is a connoisseur of the jean shorts and the tall socks and the white shoes like New Balances, which unfortunately didn't have any New Balances.
No.
The tucked in shirts and all the good stuff. So when we got to go drive Kevin's C8, we may have had to go appropriately dressed.
Yeah, this is how we dressed up to drive.
So for those of you watching on YouTube, you can see us in all of our Corvette driver glory. The jean shorts, tall socks, you name it. We are ready to rock and roll. For those of you listening to the podcast, audio only, to give a little description here, we are decked out as a Corvette driver should look. We are... I know my wife hacked up a pair of my old jeans.
Yep, I hacked up a pair of old jeans.
Yeah, hiked my socks way up. I know you did as well.
Did.
Tucked the shirt in real tight, so it was going up almost to the belly button there.
Yep.
We were just looking like pure Corvette owners.
Yep. You had what kind of shirt did you have on? Yours was a driving related shirt.
It was my instructor shirt from the Tyrac Street Survival. I looked like an absolute freaking goob.
And I had on a Corvette racing shirt that I probably got like 10 Rolex 24s ago, and it was way too big on me. We had matching Rolex 24 hats, which we probably got 10 Rolex 24s ago. That's totally fine.
Yep.
And funny enough, we ran into another Corvette enthusiast at the very end, and he totally embraced us.
He embraced us with open arms. He genuinely thought that we were both like born and bred Corvette enthusiasts. He saw us and immediately was like, "Oh, you guys like Corvettes, don't you?" And we're like, yeah, something like that."
Yes, in fact we do.
So he was showing us his C7 Corvette that he drives to the end of his driveway and back.
Yeah, he didn't do anything else other than drive it to the end of the driveway and then complain about like one rock chip in the very front of it, and that was about it.
I do have one beef to pick with that kind of car owner for a second.
Okay.
So no offense, if you're listening, please don't take offense to this, but why would you buy a car and not drive it?
I don't know.
I mean, if you are a true car collector, right, where you've got 20 cars in the collection and you're treating them as proper investments, right? Like maybe it's a rare one-off McLaren P1 or a paint-to-sample Carrera GT or something, right? Sure. Then you don't drive it. You keep it wrapped in a cellophane bubble, and you make sure that air doesn't ever see it, and it never sees the light of day. But not that I'm saying a Corvette is not much, but a Corvette it's still a car, and it's not like we're treating this as like a proper investment. Drive your car. I would hate to be someone that doesn't drive their car. You can't be scared to drive your car.
Yeah, after we walked away, we totally agreed that like that's not the way to treat that car. But let me ask you this question. Will that car appreciate in value over a long period of time?
Sure.
So is it worth it?
No. It's not worth not driving it. It may appreciate, okay, maybe it'll appreciate 5%, but the fact that you're not going to have that 20% of joy just driving the car means that you're net negative 15% in terms of happiness and ownership.
He was a previous, he worked at Chevrolet for a long time. He worked at Chevy dealers. Like, he was very into the car. He knew the car inside and out. He knew all the features, everything about it. So I think that maybe he has gone so deep down the rabbit hole that he's too scared to drive his own car.
That could very well be accurate, is that he looks at his car as like, oh God, I can't touch it.
It's sacred to him.
It may very well be. I mean, I think you may have just hit the nail on the head there.
Are there Porsche owners that have like a GT3 RS and it's sacred to them and they just keep it garage the whole time?
There are people like that. There are also Porsche owners like that. There are also Porsche owners that will drive a GT3 RS up to 40,000 miles, like one of our guests, Evan Lewis.
Yes.
Right?
That's the exact opposite.
Exactly. But that kind of owner, I guess, kind of exists in every scene, doesn't it? Right? Like, that owner, you'll have a Miata owner that doesn't drive their car, and then you'll have maybe not a Civic, but for the most part, you get the idea, right?
I can respect where he's coming from because he really enjoys the car and he knows it inside and out. And he grew up building them and selling them and all that kind of stuff. So he thinks of the heritage of it and he doesn't want to ruin it. But us two, would never do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We would drive the nuts off of it.
Oh, agreed. I mean, I respect the hell out of the car, but every single time I get into it, I'm trying to absolutely lose percentages of rear tires every single time I would drive that car.
It's very good at that.
That's the whole point of it. It's a front-engined Corvette, unlike the one that we drove.
Yes.
So let's actually talk about the one that we drove for a second.
Okay.
So here is our kind of biased but unbiased review of the C8 Corvette. What's the first thing that stuck out to you?
I initially sat in it. In the seating position was the first thing that stuck out to me.
Good or bad?
Meh. Not great, Fair. Not terrible. It sat me low, but not as low as I expected it to, considering I drove the BRZ there, and that's really low. But it felt good. The heads-up display, I will say, was pretty awesome. I don't know if you really got a chance to really look at that too much. I thought that was a really neat feature, but I know that's been in Corvettes for a long time. Nothing new there.
Yeah.
What was your driving position feel?
So driving position, I felt okay, but a bit cramped.
Okay.
I am not a big guy. No. I'm like 5'6" on a really good day. Mm-hmm. Even I felt kind of like my knees didn't have a lot of knee and leg room. And maybe I just sit like a doofus, but I did, like, in your BRZ, I was like, wow, I have so much more room for activities with my knees down here. Like, what? Well, I could build a bunk bed down here.
For sure, you were in a cockpit of an airplane. It's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah, I definitely got that, like, fighter jet vibe to sitting in it, especially with the way, like, the center console, like, wraps around you.
Yes.
Right? Like, Saab should have taken a note from that, or I guess maybe they talked to Saab about what they wanted with their fighter jets and made that in the cockpit of the car. But that was the in terms of driving position, the first thing that stuck out was, one, not very much room, and two, I definitely felt like I was strapping into an F-18.
Yes.
But the biggest thing that stuck out to me, not just in terms of driving position, but overall with the car, this thing is fast as hell.
It was quick.
Holy shit, this thing was quick.
It was very quick.
And we didn't even go 100%. I mean, it's a brand new car. I don't even think it's even out of break-in mileage yet.
No, it wasn't.
So we didn't go foot to the floor. Maybe, 2/3 throttle, 3/4 throttle?
Yeah. And
it's properly stupid fast.
It did not take long to get to 60 or 70 at all.
It didn't take long to get to anything, frankly.
No,
I mean, you kind of twitch your foot a little bit, and you're going, oh, Jesus Christ, this is fast.
It also sounded good, but not Corvette.
Yeah. I'd like us to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because, agreed, was it a bad noise? No. The noise sounded good. Yep, it was a good noise.
Yep.
But it definitely did not sound...
So what did it sound like to you? Did it sound like a Ferrari hum? Did it sound like a Lamborghini? Did it sound like an Audi? It didn't sound like a Mercedes, like gurgle?
It's hard to put a finger on it. It kind of sounds like, if you were to try to combine like the high-pitched V10 Lamborghini
Yes.
with a deep bass rumbly Mercedes AMG.
That's kind of where I was going. Maybe like an Audi and a C63 AMG had a baby.
Exactly. Like if you could mush them together, that's kind of what the sound sounds like. Because it's not deep and rumbly, but it's also not super high pitched.
No.
It's a good noise,
Yeah, it's not bad.
but it's not a Corvette noise. It's not that thunderous, feel through your chest.
Right. And I think that was our main takeaway the whole time is like, is this a Corvette?
That's a good question. And I argue, no.
Yeah. We'll come back to that though.
Yeah, we will.
In the interior, we noticed pretty much right away that it was definitely a Chevrolet.
God damn, was it ever. Holy shit. So it's really funny that we say that because after we got done driving it, I got back into my car, which is a 7-year-old Volkswagen now.
Yes.
And I immediately called you as we were driving away. And I said, wow, so this is what an interior is supposed to feel like. I immediately got back into a 7-year-old Volkswagen and just had this like, oh my God, the level of quality of everything, every surface in here in my car feels like, it's not a Rolls Royce or a Maybach, but Jesus, I felt much more kind of not like things are just rattling to pieces. Not that the interior is bad of this Chevy, but it's not what I would say the most quality.
No, when we initially got in and started tapping around, it was very plasticky feeling. The cockpit does surround you. It makes you feel like you're in a fighter jet. There's this big bar of buttons to the right of you if you're the driver. But when you actually start to touch and feel things, the buttons felt okay, but everything else in the so-called cockpit felt plasticky and felt cheap.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as we both got in and as we were driving away, we started just kind of tapping on things, rubbing on everything, just kind of pressing and rubbing and touching and feeling. And we just kind of both did the same thing where we looked at each other and went like,
Now, mind you, this is not a $200,000 supercar.
But it's not a $20,000 Civic.
No.
A C8 goes for about $100,000 now. Is it $100,000 worth of interior?
Is it $100,000 worth of fast? Yeah.
Yeah, I think. In terms of fast, yeah, it's stupid fast.
So they, Okay. We didn't really like the interior.
Yeah.
Overall, it felt plasticky.
It did feel very plasticky. And one other thing that I do want to note about the interior is that sitting in the driver's seat, and this is a weird observation, but sitting in the driver's seat, I couldn't really reach to the glove box because of that
the bar,
like the swooping in fighter jet cockpit. I tried to just reach to the glove box and I was getting hung up on my armpit on that bar. So I couldn't really imagine if you're a C8 owner and you get pulled over by the cops, they're not really going to be a big fan of you having to get out of the car to get to your glove box for your insurance and registration.
I never even thought of that. You might actually have to get out of the car.
Yeah. Pardon me, officer. I just need to get my insurance and registration. Excuse me while I get out of my car to do so.
You have to unbuckle and climb across the big bar.
Let me pop out my ladder.
Yeah. Yeah. There's kind of a weird nuance to that car.
Yeah. Agreed. So that's kind of my last final take on the interior.
Yeah. Exterior wise, what'd you think?
So in terms of quality,
yeah,
not bad.
Yeah, I'd say it was solid.
Yeah. Exterior, solid. It kind of the same exterior quality you'd expect from any new Chevy, a Camaro, right. a Suburban, a Tahoe, a whatever, right? Not horrible. Not the best, but pretty good. Solid all around in terms of the exterior quality finish. I didn't see a lot of panel gaps. For example, with, say, the new any of the new Teslas. Mm-hmm. I was behind a Tesla the other day, and the panel gaps were horrible. On one side of where the trunk lines up, it was a millimeter. On the other side, it was almost a full inch.
Yeah, they're well known for not having good panel gaps right now. And they're apparently trying to work on it, but it's been a problem for them for the past 3 years.
Tesla, the featureless things.
No,
but
I totally agree with you. Like the paint finish looked good to me. The overall paint was good. The clear coat was good. No big panel gaps. I didn't see any particularly bad parts. There was like one little nick on a wheel, but I don't know if that was the dealership or if that was somebody else that had done it. I don't know if it came out of the factory like that. It was very clean.
Yeah, I agree. I think it honestly was a really just kind of exterior wise, just decently well made piece of kit.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was one weird thing that's kind of exterior though.
What?
The fuel filler flap. It has so a lot of new cars, and I don't know if you've driven any kind of newer cars, but they have this capless fuel filler flap nozzle thing.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
I know what you're talking about, and I don't like them either.
Like, you can't spin the cap to put the nozzle in. You just open the flap, and then the nozzle just goes straight in.
Yeah.
And it just seems, I don't know, maybe that's just me being a grumpy old man. Call me crazy, but I just kind of miss the good old days of, I don't know, twisting a cap. Like, they've created a solution to a problem that they've created.
Right. I'm with you. Whatever. That's just new for now.
Yeah. So anything else in terms of exterior stuff that you can think of?
If you noticed on the rims, this was actually something that you pointed out, and I really like this. I know that you had told me about this a long time ago in the Porsche community.
Yes.
If you look at the tire of the car, if I can find the picture, here we are. Okay. The valve stem is at the very top of this picture that we're looking at on YouTube.
Yep.
And the logo of the actual Chevrolet badge does point at the valve stem.
Correct.
Yes.
So now that we're talking about this, all of you car enthusiasts, and I got this from my dad. Thank you, Dad, for the information many, many moons ago. But with sports cars, and especially Porsches in general, but I like to think of it as sports cars as well, the center cap, the actual logo on the center cap, should be pointed at your valve stem.
Was there a reason for that?
There was.
What was that?
Back in the early days of endurance racing, and this is to my knowledge here, correct me if I'm wrong, whoever's listening and watching, but I believe this was because when a car would come into the pits and they needed to quickly either adjust air pressures and things like that, they could quickly look at the logo and immediately see where the valve stem was without having to guess and find where's the valve stem for me to let more air out or put air in, that kind of stuff. So I believe this goes back to the early days of endurance racing, where you could just immediately, by quickly looking at a wheel, go, oh, logo's pointing at the center cap. The center cap is the logo's pointing at the valve stem. I know exactly where I'm supposed to put this air pressure nozzle.
Yep. There's another neat thing that happens right now in motorsports a lot of the time is they will take a marker, like a kind of a highlighter marker, and they'll mark across the rim and then across the bead of the tire. And when the car goes out on track, it'll race, do all its laps, and then it'll come back in, and you can determine how much the rim has slipped on the bead of the tire. Yep. Which is also very cool.
Love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Those little things that most people don't know about, it's such a cool thing once you discover them. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So now, whenever you or anyone else goes to a Cars and Coffee, and especially when you see that row of Porsches, because they always park together, you're going to see who the real enthusiasts are that know about Porsches and Porsche racing. You're going to look at their wheels and you're going to go, you fraud. And then you're going to see someone who's got their center caps logo pointed directly to the valve stem. And you're going to think, yes, you know how it's supposed to be, my friend.
Yeah. That was a very neat thing, and I'm glad that they probably did that out of the factory, which I think is cool.
Yeah, all the center caps on the C8 were pointed, your logo's pointed to the valve stem. So good job, Chevy, for doing that. Round of applause for you. Well done, Chevy.
Indeed. There was one other thing that I want to talk about. The visibility in that car was terrible. It was terrible.
What's the point of having a rear view mirror in that car?
I don't know.
It doesn't do a goddamn thing.
Maybe if the top was down, it would be good. But like with the top up, it was awful.
You could not see a single thing.
No.
You just kind of sit in it and you look up and go, wow, there's like a 2-inch hole that you can see out of. And that's all you got.
Yeah. The side mirrors, okay.
Yeah, but that weird, like the hip, it just kind of felt like, it just, there was absolutely 0 point in the mirrors whatsoever. But I do have a beef about the rearview mirror.
Okay.
So I know that Chevy's done this in a lot of their, well, not in a lot of their cars, but in some of their newer cars, like in some of the Chevy trucks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they've done this in their C8R race car that Jordan Taylor races. They put a camera as their rear view mirror.
Yes. I wish they had done that for this car.
That would have made a hell of a lot of a difference so that you could actually see what's behind you.
I don't even think that they needed a rear window.
I agree.
Because that rear window is very, very small, and it will roll down. There was actually a button on the side of the door that would allow you to roll it down, and I think you have to roll it down when you're doing the whole put the top down thing.
Yeah.
But I do wish that they had gone with a camera as opposed to actually a rear view mirror.
Yep, I agree. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Now, talking about putting things down and opening things up, you know what we couldn't get opened?
We could not get the engine cover opened.
This should not be a difficult task for people that are car enthusiasts and spend a lot of time in cars. We were searching and scanning everywhere in that car. How the hell do you open up the engine compartment? We could not find it. Now, we weren't going to go combing through the manual with a fine-tooth comb because I'm sure it's in there somewhere. But from just a general quick look around as we are digging around, we could not find a button or something to press to open the engine compartment.
Nope.
Why?
I have no idea. I figured that would be one of the easier things to find, but I guess not? Question mark?
Yeah, that's kind of
maybe
where
you had
I'm
to put
at.
the top down. We never did put the top down, so maybe that was our fault. But
I mean, surely the engine compartment opens, right? That does have to be a thing.
it has to open. It also smelled very, very hot back there.
It did.
Very hot.
You're very right about that. When we got back from the drive, we kind of like got back and we got out and we were kind of just like walking around and we just kind of went, you smell that? That smells kind of, there's a whiff of hotness, whether that's maybe the fact that it's a brand new engine being broken in.
It totally could be.
And just kind of old plasticky smells being burnt off from the factory.
Right.
Whatever it may have been. But there definitely was a hotness to the smell of the car.
Yes. And there was also a smell of gasoline in the trunk, which we found kind of odd.
Yeah. And it's funny because we didn't really push the car. We were maybe 2/3 or 3/4 throttle tops.
Right.
Like it's not like we went hard to the floor.
No.
But it smelled very hot and it did have that little aroma of gas, especially in the trunk.
Yeah. There was one last thing that I want to talk about, and I think I said that before. So this will be the final last thing.
Okay.
There was a button that was to the left of the driver's seat that both of us were completely confused about. And if anyone in the Corvette enthusiast community, which we have officially joined, would like to inform us what this button is, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll explain this to the listeners. So there is a left hand pointing up on this button, and this is on the floor of the driver's side to the left side of the driver.
Correct.
It's like where you would normally have either a way to pop the trunk or pop the hood or something like that. Like that area, right?
Yeah, that's where you would normally find either your trunk, fuel filler flap, or your hood.
There are 3 icons here, and they're stacked vertically above each other. It starts with a pointer finger on a left hand with an arrow pointing down from the top of the finger. Yeah, and then weird. It has like a guy from a top-down point of view looking at a car, and there's a human getting out the left side door of the car. And then below that is a book with an eye for information on it.
Yes. Swipe down to escape the car and get your information is what that looks like.
What the heck?
Zero clue of what any of that means whatsoever. We were both very puzzled. We looked at that and I like to think that we're not dumb people, Derek.
Maybe we are.
Maybe we are dumb because we looked at this for a good 5 or 10 minutes and we were just perplexed as to, okay, what the hell is this actually trying to tell us to do?
Go get the manual?
Maybe. Is this an ejector seat? Ejecto-cedo, cuz I don't really know.
We saw the dude like leaving the car out the door and we didn't want to press it because we were kind of a little scared that like, I don't know what it does.
Is it self-destruct in
I don't know what it
seconds?
does. Yeah, it was really weird. I'm usually not one to be afraid of pushing buttons in a car because we know most of the icons. On the dashboard, I can name every icon. No problem.
We can pretty much go through almost any car nowadays and be like, okay, traction control on this, that, and everything, we're fine.
But left hand pointer, the guy leaving out the left side of a door and book, All in the same button?
What is it going to pop out an information packet of how to exit the vehicle if you pull that up, as if you don't know how to get out?
Does it pop out the manual?
You know what? That actually may be it.
Does it pop out the manual?
That may be something where if you like pull it up,
Yeah.
that maybe it gives. I have an idea.
Okay.
What if the button to open the door gets jammed and broken? That could be an emergency door opening handle.
I think it's definitely something like that.
I could be wrong, and I could be just full of shit.
But
I
do
think
any
that
other
could be
cars have emergency door opening handles?
I know they have them on airplanes.
Yeah. Okay. Do you drive an airplane on the street?
Not usually.
Same. I don't know of that on my BRZ. Maybe it's because it has a soft top.
I don't know.
I don't know.
If
If anybody knows, comment down below or like hit us up on social media. I would love to know what the button is that we are very confused about.
Yes, I do agree. That is something that I would like to understand more about from all of our C8 people.
Overall, what would you if it was like a 1 to 10 scale, what would you rate this car?
1
being the worst car you've ever driven, 10 being the best car you've ever driven.
I don't know, a 6? 6 or a 7 maybe?
Yeah, I think I'd go 7.
I'm between a 6 and a 7. Partly because it's supposed to be a sports car.
I know.
But it does something that sports cars shouldn't do.
Which is?
Sports cars should not be eco-mentalist, crazy, environmentally friendly things.
Is this eco-friendly?
Well, it has a feature that makes it eco-friendly.
It has eco mode.
Yes. What does eco mode do more specifically?
Oh, that's right.
That's
right.
So eco mode makes you go from a V8 to a V4. A sports car shouldn't have that. That should not be part of a sports car. I don't want a soggy setting. But nothing. No.
If you can daily drive this car.
That's
for
great.
Sure.
And you should daily it in track mode. Because in regular touring mode, it's numb. It's so numb.
You're not dailying that car in track mode.
Yeah,
the majority of people that buy that car are going to be over 40.
No.
And they're going to look exactly, over 50, and they're going to look exactly like how we dressed, and they're not going to track it at all. They're going to sit it in their garage just like the other Corvette enthusiast did. And you know damn well that he has never put that car into track mode.
I think he's scared to put it in track mode.
He would be absurdly scared to put it in track mode. That was the first thing we did.
That was literally the very first thing we did when we got in the car. We sat down and like, touring? No. Must exit touring mode now. Give me track mode. Give me all of it. Give me 100%.
I have no problem with eco mode in that car.
But I don't like that it shuts off 4 cylinders.
Why?
Because it's dumb.
But it's an eco mode. That's what it's designed to do.
But it shouldn't have an eco mode.
You can put it in track mode if you want to be that hooligan.
Well, everyone should just be that hooligan.
No.
Yes. All right, let's actually talk about the driving of it for a second, shall we?
Yeah.
The actual driving experience of the C8. What were your thoughts of driving the C8?
Way faster than my BRZ, which I expected. Touchy brakes, very, very touchy brakes compared to what I'm used to. And overall, I liked it. Overall, I give it a meh.
What'd you think about the steering?
Okay, so the steering. I know you're going with this.
I am going somewhere with
Okay. If you have this, the steering was very, very meh, and it was very slow and unresponsive when you were in eco mode. And we figured this out like halfway through our drive. When you put it into track mode, it did respond much better. But in eco mode, you would start to turn the wheel, and you would get 20 degrees into turning the wheel, and nothing would happen. And that felt weird.
It did. It had this really weird numbness to it.
Yeah.
Where you'd kind of just turn and then something happens.
Yes.
Which is odd.
Yeah, but once you kicked it into track mode, which is how you would drive it every day, of course.
Well, of course, absolutely.
Then, yeah, it had no problems. And like it was not perfectly responsive, but it was way more responsive. And it was a reasonable amount of responsiveness.
I guess it did have a bit more responsiveness that is more acceptable, I should say. Let's talk about that transmission for a second, though.
Okay.
It lacked a third pedal.
It did.
Yeah, all C8s lack third pedals.
And I got in it and put my left foot to the floor and went, oh, that's right.
Yeah, it doesn't do that,
Nope.
Derek.
Nope.
It's got that, I believe it's a double clutch automatic, just like pretty much everything else nowadays.
Yes.
And I think it's 7 speeds or 8.
I don't know, 7 or 8.
It's a number of speeds, some amount of speeds.
Enough speeds.
I thought the transmission was pretty snappy.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was actually very good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty snappy. You kind of put your foot down a little bit, and it's going to immediately go from 6th to 2nd.
And just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, done.
Yeah.
You don't think about it. It's not like, let me think about,
Nope.
let me pop this paddle a couple of times. It's just, boom, done.
And you don't feel anything. You don't feel the clutch pulling. You don't feel like somebody missing a downshift or anything like that. It's just boom, boom, boom. Up in the RPM you go, and you're away.
Yeah, exactly. It felt very, very crisp in that regard.
Yes.
But the crispness was not there in the actual paddle itself.
No.
I felt like you got to pull the paddle, and it's just kind of
Mush.
almost, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to use as mush. Like, mush, mush. But, again, it's a Chevy. We're not expecting it to be
It had a
as
bit of a
crisp.
click to it, but it wasn't a precise click like you would expect a paddle to be.
Yeah, it's not like sliding the lever on a bolt action rifle. It's
Right.
just kind of this like I'm cutting through something with a butter knife and then you finally reach the plate.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of the way I can describe that.
Yeah.
But
I think if I had to give it an overall score out of 10, I would give it a 7.8.
that's higher than your original 7.
Yeah. I think I'd give it a 7.8 because I don't know. It did feel a little bit meh in certain places, but I can understand the places that it felt like that. And for the price, it's darn fast. If you put it in track mode, it's darn responsive. It shifts well. It has a stigma about it with its enthusiasts, but we know that going into this. That's nothing new. I'd say it's solid. Is it a Corvette? Absolutely not.
Agreed.
Absolutely not.
Nothing about that is Corvette other than
No.
the fact that it says Corvette on the badge.
That's it.
Yeah, I would say a 6.7 or a 6.8 on my scale.
Okay.
In terms of speed, I'll give it a 9.
Yeah. It's
In terms of overall, I'll give
Very
it a
fast.
6.8.
I think those are reasonable scores to give it.
I agree. So that's our biased take, slightly skewed, extremely skewed take on the new
Yes.
C8. Thank you again, Kevin, for
Yes.
the opportunity to let us drive around your fancy schmancy new red Corvette, because I'll be honest, it was a treat. Thank you very much.
And if you have a car and you want us to come make fun of your fan base, we will gladly do it for you.
Absolutely, 110%. You name it, we will dress up as whoever you are, and we will whatever your vehicle of choice is.
We will fit right in.
100% will be embraced with open arms. So, shall we move on?
We shall.
Okay. So, over this past weekend, I also went to Sarasota Caffeine and Gasoline, which is a buddy of mine. His name is Will Bean. He's the organizer of that.
Okay.
So, if anyone local to Sarasota wants to go to this Caffeine and Gasoline, you should reach out to Will. Facebook, Instagram, wherever he's at. But I showed up to Caffeine and Gasoline. It was a perfect morning. Oh, my God. It was perfect. It was like, I don't know, 68 degrees in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
The sun was out.
Yes.
By the time it was over, it was like 72 degrees.
Okay.
It was
Amazing.
perfect. You could not have scripted it any better. Which, because it was so nice out, it brought out some pretty big guns there.
Probably.
Yeah, there was some pretty big guns. One of which, there's a gentleman here locally that owns multiple supercars.
Mm-hmm.
Not just supercars, but crazy custom supercars. So, a few weeks ago, we had talked about the crazy gold Novitec and Largo 720S that was at the Lambo event,
Mm-hmm.
and the white Novitec and Largo Ferrari 488.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same guy that owns both.
Mm-hmm.
He brought out 2 of his 3 Novitec cars. So this gentleman, has 3 custom Novitec and Largo wide body kit cars. I don't think anyone else in the world has 3 of them.
He has 3 of them?
He has 3 of them, and he lives here locally in Sarasota. So what he brought out was his Novitec and Largo McLaren 720S, his Novitec and Largo Ferrari 488 Spider, by the way, and then he also brought out a tuned Rolls Royce. I believe was it the Wraith or the Dawn, whatever. I don't know my Rolls very well, but
I don't.
it's a big 2-door. It's not a 4-door, but it's a big 2-door, and he has it all tuned up and customized. He also has, I was chatting with him. He also has a custom Novitec and Largo Ferrari 812 Superfast.
What even is that?
So it's the big V12 front engine Ferrari, the big Grand Tour that makes a stupid amount of horsepower.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that, but then he also put the custom Novitec and Largo wide body kit on it. Bonkers. No one has 3 of them, and he's got 3 of them.
Let me ask you about him. Was he crazy?
So he appeared to be someone who has made it very well in life.
Oh, yeah.
And just wants to do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Okay.
If he can dream it, he's going to do it. He told me that he owns like machines, like CNC machines and stuff like that. So he actually was the one that custom made the wheels. Like
Whoa, that's
and
cool.
he and his guys custom made the wheels for his McLaren and for the Rolls Royce.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's
so kind of cool.
Yeah.
Definitely wants to be very kind of the most custom. He wants the most rare things you can buy.
Is he trying to be the center of attention?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, because of what they are, but no,
Right.
because no, just from talking with him.
Like, yes and no, because you have to know what this is to first of all, like, be like, oh, you should be the center of attention. 'Cause
Exactly.
I didn't know what any of these were until you told me.
Yeah, they're both stupid rare. I believe they only made, and I think we talked about this, 85 worldwide and Largo kits for the 720S. So that's what we're looking at on the screen is one of, I think, 85 in the entire world.
Jeez.
And he's got 3 Novitecs in Sarasota, Florida.
Jeez.
So as I was talking to him, he told me that the gold McLaren that he's got is going back into the shop to get more upgrades and stuff. He's getting a new tune on it. He's getting custom titanium exhaust, all sorts of craziness. And he told me that he is hoping to get that McLaren to pump out 1,400 wheel horsepower.
What?
Stupid.
What?
It's ridiculous.
How do you ever keep that much wheel horsepower on the ground?
You don't.
No.
Well, you know how you do? You know how wide his rear tires are? 12-inch wide rear tires.
12 inches?
Yes, wide, width.
Oh my
So
God.
for people that are fans of the classic Mini Cooper, his width is bigger than your entire diameter.
Yeah. That's nuts. You could lay it down sideways. Yeah, and it'd be.
Think about that, right?
Oh my gosh.
That's nuts, right? But it's funny. Of his 3 Novitec and Largo cars, I was asking him, okay, like you've got 3 of the most crazy rare cars, like in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite? He said his least favorite is actually the McLaren.
Okay.
Partly because he told me that the guy that had it before him did a really crappy job with like the PPF and all that, the protective coating. So he's like, the quality just isn't the best. So not a huge fan of that car in general, quite as much as he would. He told me his favorite was his 812 Superfast.
Okay.
The one that he didn't have out there. But just
wild.
Insane. One more quick thing I want to talk about. He brought out that Rolls Royce, that big body Rolls, with custom 24-inch wheels that he made. He told me that Rolls is one of his favorite cars.
Okay.
Ever.
Really?
Yes. Because it's like the most comfortable car in the entire world.
Yeah.
And he's done some modifying to it as well.
To Rolls?
It's not just wheels and tires.
Oh, God.
He told me that he's getting a new tune on it for 900 wheel horsepower. Not crank, 900 wheel horsepower.
So it's over 1,000 crank.
So it is. It's a Rolls Royce that will dust literally everything.
Oh, my God.
It's stupid, and that's why I love it to death.
It's stupid and kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah, because you don't expect a Rolls Royce to
No.
just absolutely smoke everything. And apparently, that's what it does. It's just this big body behemoth of a thing that just goes absolutely cruising past everything.
Yeah, that's nuts. Awesome, wild, and like all of the above at the same time.
Super nice guy, too. He was completely open with everything. I was talking about cars with him.
Yeah.
I mean, we sat and chatted for a good 10 minutes just about cars, just talking about cars.
Yep.
And he seemed like a genuine car enthusiast, so I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Heck yeah.
Definitely. Now, there was something else that I do want to point out about this Caffeine and Gasoline.
Okay, what was that?
So, what kind of car were we just talking about that we test drove?
A Corvette.
Yes. There was a Corvette owner there.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. So, it was a bit of a chilly morning.
Were you geared up?
I was not. So, I went with my dad, and we brought the 911 out.
Okay.
But I was just wearing, I don't know, a long sleeve shirt and some jeans, I think.
Yeah.
But there is a Corvette owner that was wearing the Corvette attire.
Yes.
He had, and I'm going to describe this for everyone. He had black stonewash jeans on,
Mm-hmm.
and they were in the appropriate fit and cut, as you may imagine a Corvette owner to have. And then because it was chilly, he had a somewhat matching black stonewash denim jean jacket as well to go with it.
Jesus, dude.
And then there was the Corvette hat, the Corvette shirt, and then are you ready for my absolute favorite part? The pièce de résistance of the outfit. A Corvette belt buckle.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Let's go get some.
Did he have any New Balances?
They were actually the all black Skechers because it matched his black and black.
We'll let the Skechers slide.
Yeah, I suppose it works. But yes, this is the Corvette owner dream attire. But nice guy. He was really, really nice guy.
Oh, yeah.
Had a great talk with him.
Yeah, they're great to talk to.
But damn, is that the stigma? It is. Corvette owners, you got to stop doing this to yourself. We're not doing this to you. You got to stop doing it to yourself. I'm sorry. Just come on.
I mean, to be fair, like all communities have that, right? Porsche owners just as much have a stigma to them.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
And we'll meme about them when we get the opportunity to drive one. Don't worry.
Oh, memes will be had.
Oh, yeah.
Memes will be had.
So
yeah, that was my little recap of Caffeine and Gasoline.
Nice.
So let's get to our car spots of the week. So have you seen anything while you've been out and about puttering around?
I have.
Okay.
I'll leave in what is, in my opinion, the best for last. But
Okay.
I did see a black 570 McLaren. That kind of almost blends in with most cars around here now, honestly.
It's true.
Yes. I saw that and turned my head a little bit and went, oh, okay.
Yeah, like, oh, cool, it's a McLaren, and carry on.
Yeah. Then I saw a new BMW Z4, which I don't know if I've seen one of those in the wild yet. Have you seen any of those?
I have. I've seen both the BMW variant and the Toyota variant as the Supra.
No, okay. I've seen many Supras, but the new Z4, I'd really like to drive one. It seemed a bit bulky to me.
It does seem a bit bulky. It doesn't seem like it would be very light on its feet.
No. It had some edginess to it. It had some interesting styling to it. Wouldn't say I hated it. I wouldn't say I loved it. It was okay.
Okay.
And then, saving the best for last here.
Hit me.
I saw a brand new Porsche Macan.
Ooh. Okay.
With a Christmas tree on top of it.
Yes. Let's go. You got to put the Christmas tree on top of the Macan. That's how it's supposed to go.
They were pulling into the grocery store and they had the Christmas tree all wrapped up to the top of the Macan. And I was like, should you have a Christmas tree on top of a Porsche?
You should. Absolutely you should.
And then I was thinking, it is a Macan. So like, okay, I'll let, you know what? Good on you.
Honestly, I would put one on any car.
Any Porsche?
I would literally put a Christmas tree on top of a GT3 RS. Yep.
Why?
Well, I mean, in terms of the structural integrity, you've got the wing to support the other side of the tree.
Oh my God.
Well, that and it's a car. I'm going to do car things with it.
Could you imagine the Corvette owner that we talked to putting a Christmas tree on top of his
Oh my God.
C7?
That would literally kill him, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would actually make his brain like genuinely just implode.
Yeah, no.
Like that would not end well. His wife would be cleaning up Corvette
My initial
brains.
thought was, that is so un-Porsche to do. And then I said, you know what? I don't really care. Good on you.
Yeah. I honestly, I wish more people did that.
Yeah.
Good job.
I thought it was pretty cool. So did you see anything while you were out and about?
I saw a ton of stuff.
Okay.
I did see a ton of stuff. So one thing that I saw, which I'm tied for my spot of the week just because of it's one of my favorite cars, was at Caffeine and Gasoline. There was not the gentleman that owns the Novitec, but another gentleman brought out a Ferrari 812 Superfast. But it was in such a good spec. It was in a blue with a beautiful interior. It was such a good spec.
Yeah.
It was honestly one of the classiest specs on an 812 Superfast I think I've ever seen. It was just sublime.
Nice.
And it didn't hurt that the owner gave us a couple of V12 revs.
Yes.
So we were all standing there, and I just heard a V12 screaming, and it was just, that's just perfect.
Yes.
Love that so much. So that may be tied for my spot of the week.
Okay.
Next thing I saw while I was out and about was an Aston Martin DBS Superleggera Volante.
The Volante.
It's an open. It's a convertible. That's all it means.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just what Aston's call convertibles nowadays.
Gotcha.
So it's their DBS, the big V12 front-engined, massive, huge car, but it's such a looker. It's such a looker. God almighty, it's so pretty. And I've spotted this actual one before. It's black. It's got a black top. It's just, it's like it's like if I saw my wife put on a really nice, tight black dress. It's just so good. It's just so good. So that would be up there with maybe my second highest spot of the week. Then something else that I did notice. You know how we've talked about the small little mini trucks, the unibody trucks that we've talked about, like the Honda Ridgeline, the Hyundai Santa Cruz?
Yes.
I saw the Ford version
Ooh.
in real life, not just driving past a dealership. But I saw the new Ford Maverick.
Yeah, I was going to ask, was it a Maverick? Okay.
Yeah, and I actually saw two of them on the same day.
Really?
I've been this whole time, and I haven't seen one, and then I see two in one day.
How was the Maverick?
Okay, so I initially kind of shat on it a little bit.
Okay.
In person, much better.
Okay.
Much better to see it moving and driving. I would say of all the unibody trucks,
Yes.
not proper trucks, not body and frame, but unibody trucks, it's my favorite of all the unibody trucks.
Great.
By a mile, as a matter of fact.
Was it as tiny as it's supposed to be?
It's not big, I can tell you that.
Okay.
It is smaller than the Ranger for sure.
Oh, my goodness.
So the Ranger's not big, but it definitely has a smaller footprint than the Ranger.
The Ranger's small.
Ranger's very not big.
Yeah.
It looks like a proper, honestly, I would say if you're a high school kid and you need a truck because you're going to help your buddy move furniture and you've got, I don't know, little stuff, or you're in college and you're moving things around, could be the best option of them all, especially since while I've been out and about, in the same day, I also saw the Hyundai Santa Cruz. So I saw the Maverick and I saw one of its most direct competitors.
Yes.
And in my opinion, yes, the Hyundai is a lot more flamboyantly styled. It's got a lot more flair to it.
Okay.
It is way uglier.
Yes.
The Maverick is the mini truck to buy.
I have seen the Santa Cruz. It looks bad.
It's awful. It's horrible.
It's terrible. We've talked about that. But I have yet to see the Maverick, and I'm very curious to see how big the Maverick is. But if you're saying it's smaller than a Ranger, oh boy.
It's not big.
You can't haul much.
It's not big, which is exactly why if you've got little stuff to deal with, right? If you got a hockey bag to throw in the bed, great. If you got a bike, great. If you got... But
what's the point of having a truck?
See, this was my point with the whole mini trucks. I would still much rather have a proper truck, a body on frame like a Ranger or a Tacoma or something in that mid-size category. But if you're in the range for something that's small and tiny and does little things, then it's the one I'd buy.
Okay.
I like the look of it. I do.
There's a market out there for that. No doubt. There is a market of people who don't want a full-size truck. They want a small truck to haul very small things, but you should just buy a SUV or a car. Because, anyway, I rest my case.
Yeah, I digress. But I think what I'm going to give my spot of the week to is something that doesn't even run.
Is that allowed?
I don't know. I don't know if it is or not. But so my wife was given this great opportunity for a photo shoot. One of her friends gave her this photo shoot.
Okay.
Up in Lakeland.
Okay.
And we drove up there, and this was kind of a rustic, almost Western themed or styled photo shoot. Mm-hmm. And while we were driving around, my little Jetta, which hardly made it in and out of the field with how rutted the tracks were, it was absolutely hilarious. But as I was driving into the field, in the field, there was a car.
A car?
There was a car.
One?
Yep. This was yard art at this point.
Okay. Oh, boy.
But I felt honestly, like an American picker. Because as I was wandering through the yard, there was a barn find. There was an old, broken down, beat up Land Rover Defender.
Oh, it was a Defender?
It was a proper Defender.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's super, super cool. It was such a cool, I mean, it's miles away from ever being roadworthy.
Right.
But it is so cool. And as soon as I drove, I walked past it, I was like, that is the coolest thing here. It's just an old, beat up, broken down, there's hardly any piece, like, it's a shell of a thing, but it's just great. I loved this little old Land Rover Defender. Ooh. It was so cool to see.
That is awesome. That is a really cool shot for having something to take a picture for. That is awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I actually, if you're watching on YouTube, you're actually looking at a picture of it, and I took this picture with my phone.
Yeah. No, that's super, super cool to have the backlighting and an old beat-up Range Rover.
Yeah,
Neat.
It's just so cool to see that old Defender sitting out there. And apparently, I was asking the photographer, it was her dad's.
Oh,
her dad has had this since he's 16.
Whoa.
So
Man.
Kind of cool. I love the story to it, right?
It's cool. I wish that was running, though.
Oh, me too. Me too. I wish it was running. I wish it was everything. But cool story. Owner had it since he's 16. It's now just been part of a field. If I knew anything about Land Rovers and I had space to fix it, I would definitely be making him an offer because it's cool as hell.
Yeah. No, it's a great spot, and it's a great shot for photography as well. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my spot of the week.
Cool. I think we're running long on time. We should wrap up.
Yep.
But do you have an I wish they would have?
I do.
Oh, boy.
I do. My I wish they would have for episode 40 is that I wish that law enforcement agencies and states or governing bodies would make people retest for their license every 10 to 15 years.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one, especially in the state of Florida. That's a fantastic one.
Yeah, dude. Holy.
Okay,
cannoli.
But right now the test, as you know, is very easy to pass.
It is extraordinarily
Do you
easy to
think
pass.
adding this would actually make a difference?
Honestly, it might, yeah. I mean, you would be amazed at the amount of people that don't pass, even though with how easy it is.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God,
Ooh.
yeah.
Okay.
I will tell you, there's a lot of people that have passed the test that have zero business being on the road.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Yeah.
So getting them to do it, a lot of people have literally just passed it with blind luck.
Right.
So I don't think they're going to have blind luck twice in a row. Right?
Yeah, there's definitely a problem here in the state of Florida for the elderly that should not have their license but still have their license, and their doctor has yet to take it away or their family has yet to take it away. And that's always a hard thing to do. It's a terrible thing to do.
Yep.
But to at least have some random person at the DMV like fail you and say, hey, no, that would encourage the family to be like, hey, here's the paperwork that says you should probably not be driving anymore.
And I'm saying not even just for elderly, for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
For literally everyone. From the day you get your license, every 10 to 15 years, you got to retest. Because I've seen some of the most atrocious driving I've seen out here. People don't understand the laws. And I would even argue, I would almost wish they would redo a road rules test every 10 or every so often. That may not be a bad idea as well.
Next podcast, we need to talk about road rules because you taught me a road rule that I did not know.
All right.
And we'll leave that as a cliffhanger.
All right.
Yes.
Tune in to episode 41 for that.
Yes.
So that's my I wish they would have. I wish they would make people retest for their license about every 10 to 15 years. Keep it fresh.
I like it. I wonder if it would be more effective, though, to just make the test harder up front.
Both. I can't have my cake and eat it too. Is that what you're saying?
You can, but yeah. I wonder if that would just be more effective overall. I don't know. But I totally agree. It should happen.
Yeah. So that's my I wish they would have.
Okay.
Do you have an I wish they would have?
I do.
What you got?
Have you ever gone to change your oil? Your own personal oil? Like done it yourself?
I have.
What kind of oil did you get?
I believe in the Volkswagen it is 5W40 Euro blend synthetic.
Do you know what that means?
Yes, in terms of viscosity of the oil and the thickness of the oil, things like that, correct? The additives as well.
Right.
I know what that means. Does my wife?
No.
Not a goddamn clue.
No.
If I said, honey, go change your oil, because she's married to me and I'm a car guy, she might be able to go to AutoZone or whichever auto parts store and get a car oil. Mm-hmm. But I'd be willing to bet there's a lot of people that would just go to like their grocery store and be like, I got peanut oil. Yes.
Funny story. The first time that I went to a buddy's house to change my own oil, it was when I had the Civic. It was way back in the day. Had no idea what I was doing. I bought 1 quart of oil.
Oh my God. That's not enough,
No
Derek.
filter. And I came over to his house and he's like, oh no.
You didn't tell me that. You brought over 1 quart with no filter.
1 quart. To be fair, my Civic only took like 2.5 quarts. So I was almost halfway there. But yeah, I didn't have any filter. I had 1 quart of oil. I don't know. I think I randomly picked whatever the 10W, whatever it was. I had no idea which one to buy. I didn't know what any of them meant. To be fair, no one knows what they mean.
I can just imagine being your buddy, seeing you show up like, I'm here to change my oil. I got my
yeah.
quart of oil. And they're just looking at you like,
What are you doing?
what?
Yeah.
No.
But we quickly got in the car, went back to the store, bought more oil, and changed it there. But
Oh, that's funny.
I wish they would have. I wish that all cars ran on the same oil, or they just unified the oil. Because why do we need all the different synthetic blends or organic blends, and why do we need all the different viscosities? I know it's there for the winter cars need a more thick viscosity or a more thin viscosity for the winter. But I mean, let's be real. Why can't they just sort it out and make it so we can all just have the same damn oil?
I agree. I do think that would make things a hell of a lot easier, especially for the budding car enthusiast, for the people that are not seasoned car guys or girls, especially the kid in high school that this is their first car ever, maybe turning a wrench on or just tinkering with. This would make the learning curve a lot easier.
I don't see why it can't be done. It seems like a reasonable thing to do. Between all the additives that they can put in to make the blends work at certain temperatures, they can find a window that would work for basically everywhere except for Antarctica. But, you're on your own. I don't know what to tell you. Down there. So
yeah, you just need a ship, an ice cutter.
Right. I wish that oils could just be uniform and we could just have the same one and there wasn't all this confusion around it.
That is a good one. I can actually dig that. I can dig that.
So I think that's all we got, buddy.
All right, so that'll wrap us up for episode 40 then. Can't
so.
believe we're 40 episodes deep. Oh my God, can you believe that?
Yep.
So thank you to everyone in the audience that's listened and shared the show and left us a 5-star rating and review, especially on our Apple podcast. That's a big one for us, or wherever you listen. So I would like to just remind everyone who is maybe new or who has been listening for a while to please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Drop a comment if you could on our Apple Podcasts or even on our new YouTube. Would appreciate a new subscriber anywhere we got you. Also, if you could, make sure you send us your I wish they would haves, as well as any of your auto-related news articles that you'd like us to talk about. We can rag on BMW drivers and Corvette owners even more if you'd like. I have no problem with that. But yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap us up for episode 40. Thank you again so much, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.
See ya.